So Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Isra, verse 80, Rabbi, this is one of my favourite du'as. This one stirs me as well. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidqin wa akhrijni mukhraja sidqin waj'alni min ladunka sultanan nasira. It's a very interesting verse because Allah says, oh my Lord, Rabbi. And this is the way that Allah, it doesn't say Ya Rabbi, it says Rabbi. So it's like there's no calling out because you feel intimacy. If someone's close to you, you don't have to say, Oi, Zahid, because Zahid's right next to me. So what do you say? You just say Zahid. So there's no Ya there calling out to Allah because you feel a close proximity to Him. The second thing is that Rabbi, the Ya is missing. You usually have Rabbi. It denotes a sense of desperation, like shortness of breath, like Rabbi, come to me in desperation. So Rabbi adkhilni, enter me in to a mudkhala sidqin. It's difficult to translate this, but like a sincere or a pure or a righteous entry, and then bring me out from a righteous mukhraja sidqin, a righteous exit. And then grant me from you directly an authority that is supportive. It's said that this was narrated when the Prophet ﷺ left Mecca, and that the Prophet ﷺ was told by Sayyidina Jibreel that he would be leaving in a specific way, where he put Sayyidina Ali karramallahu wajhah in his bed, and then he would wait until the dawn and leave. And so he made this dua, and this is how he was supported out of his mukhraj, out of the exit. And then his entrance was entering Medina. And so, and others say, and you can say this is any entrance, refers to death. I enter me into the next world safely and expel me from this, and to take me out of this life safely. And it can mean any entrance and any exit. But isn't it interesting that it mentions the entrance before the exit? You'd think it'd be the other way round, wouldn't you? And the Quran asks us to contemplate on these things because you leave a place, don't you? And then you enter a place. Why is it saying exit first and then... why is it saying entrance first and then exit? Allah knows best. I mean, these things are open to interpretation, but the way I see it is that you focus on the road ahead, where you're going. And that's what's happening now, because we're into the month of Muharram. And the month of Muharram is a new beginning. The last month of the year has passed us by, Dhul HIjjah. Some of us have come back from Hajj, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but obviously it's more profound from the people coming back from Hajj that because they come carrying so many fond memories of that place and new relationships. They've connected with new people that they may be relationships for the rest of their life. Okay, especially now we've got WhatsApp groups. And so, but the whole thing is, what do we do on, this is like a rebirth, because the end of the year's gone, and we're into a new year. It's a new life, and we sense that. Why is it people make New Year's resolutions? Because they feel like there's new opportunity. And so we went on the Hajj, which was the journey, and then we come back, but our coming back's a different thing. And now we're entering something new, and we're entering the Muharram. And what's Muharram mean? It means you're being sanctified. You're being protected. This is the idea of the month of Muharram. And what did we do on the 9th of Dhul HIjjah? We fasted Yawm al-Arafah, didn't we? And that's the reward of fasting the day of Arafah is what? Forgiveness of 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. What's those 2 years? The year you're in and the year ahead, the year to come. And isn't it interesting that the 9th of Dhul HIjjah is a 9, which is the last unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so it's the last digit, it's the end of something. Does that make sense? And then 10's new, isn't it? Because it's a new perspective. You're looking at things in HD resolution now. Because there's two things now. You're seeing both perspectives of life, the two sides of life. The material, the spiritual, the feminine, the masculine, the good, the evil, and so forth. And so what day do we fast in Muharram? We don't fast the 9th, we fast the 10th. Because now we're coming into something new. Does that make sense? And so it's a progression. It's a progression as the Dhul HIjjah was about looking at the past and forgiveness for that and prosperity in the future. Now we've moved into that prosperity. What's the reward of fasting the 10th of Dhul HIjjah? The 10th of Muharram? Huh? It's forgiveness of 1 year. Okay? Because now that focus is on the past. You could look at this in different ways, to be honest. But that was looking at the past and future. Now this is focusing on the past has gone. Now we're in something new. Okay. Now what lies ahead now, Allah knows best. But what do we do when we're going forward in that new realm that we're going forward in our lives? And it's a new beginning, whether you like to admit it or not. Because you might think my life's the same, but you're never looking at the same thing twice. Okay. Things always have a different perspective on them, whether you're aware of it or not. Okay, and so you have to ask yourself, where is Allah? Where's He pushed me forward? And where is He pushing me forward? So many people on the Hajj, when they come back from Hajj, they think, well, how do I know my Hajj has been accepted? Do you know what sometimes it is? It's in the most unlikeliest of ways. It could be losing a job. You go, Allah, I've lost my job? How's this acceptance of my Hajj? Because Allah wants you to take you from something into something new. It could be that it could be a relationship changes. You look at your relationship with the people around you different, with your family, your spouse, your children. You just got a different perspective of. It could be someone was focused on just achieving in their life, and then suddenly it's all about reflection. Before it was about achievement and gaining things in life. Now you're like, no, I've got what I want in life now. I don't feel like I'm not into that anymore. It's about self-reflection. I never used to self-reflect. What's this? Oh my God, you know. And so Allah can open up avenues for us in different ways, and that's how I'd like us to look at this. This is what we mean by a rebirth, and this is what we mean about new horizons and expansion of awareness. And so this dua is so profound for that, if you think about it. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidqin wa akhrijni mukhraja sidqin. And as I go into that, as I come out from that one realm and go into another perspective, give me a sultan nasir, give me an authority from you, because it's scary. I need your support, Allah. Because sometimes when you've got new, things are shaking up around you, you think you're going mad. You think, I don't know if I can cope with this. This is a completely different perspective. I was so used to the comfort, but Allah is always going to be pushing you towards something that is greater, whether you're aware of that in the short term or not. And so we always ask with those every footstep forward in the new year or the new month or the new day, we ask for Sultan Nasir. No, Sultan is an authority, it gives you command. And Nasir is supportive. So it gives you feel grounded, you feel centered, and then at the same time you feel someone's there for you as well. Because you need both of those things. You need to feel grounded in yourself, in your life, and you also need to feel this support with you as well. So you ask Allah to send the right people to support you, and the right things to hear that feel supportive, and the right things to see that are supportive. All this. And so, the Qur'an's azim, it's profound in its meanings. So how do we go forward when we got these new opportunities? The first thing, what's encouraged on the 10th of Muharram, I hope you've done it or you've missed out, is that you spend on your family on this day. The Prophet ﷺ related in the hadith, من وسع على عياله على أهله في يوم عاشوراء وسع الله عليه سائر سنته. Whoever gives, spends on his family, gives him a bit of expansion in this day, gives him a bit of release on the day of the 10th, Allah will do so for the rest of his year. And so if you want something, Allah helps as well. That's a different one. Allah's there for you when you're supporting other people. You want something, give it to someone else. And I had a friend, he was suffering from drug addiction, and he had a friend that was suffering from drug addiction, and I said, do you want your dua to be answered? Then help him. Because by helping people in similar circumstances to yourself, Allah gives you an opening. And it's not, we don't gain a gateway into getting closer to Allah except through our relationships. Okay? And what are those relationships that are the most difficult and the most triggering and testing? Our most immediate families, our husbands, our wives, our children. They're the ones that we're going to progress to Allah through in different ways and different experiences. And then what else is this day about? This day is about an opening, if you think about it. the Prophet ﷺ, it's narrated that the Arabs, this was a custom that they'd inherited from Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, that they fasted the 10th of Muharram. The Arabs before, and it became, in the early days of Islam, it was incumbent upon the Muslims to fast the 10th of Muharram. Then when they came to Medina, notice, when they came to Medina, they came to something new. They were given something even greater, which is Ramadan, and then the fast of 10th of Muharram became optional instead of obligatory. But the Muslims used to love this fast, and they used to keep to it with fervour and passion. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he knew this was a tradition of Sayyidina. This is something inherited. And then when he went to Khaybar, he found the Jews fasting this. And there's a question today to say the Jews don't fast this anymore, which is true. It's not Yom Kippur, because the Jews today, they fast the Day of Atonement, which is Yom Kippur for them. They don't fast. That's the Passover, isn't it? I think the Passover the Passover when they left Egypt. Sorry. When they actually did, there's no, to the best of my knowledge, there's no Jewish sect or denomination that fasts the day that Musa and the children of Israel were delivered. But you see, the Jews of Arabia are very interesting. There are a specific sect amongst the Jews, and they specifically fasted that day. And so the Prophet ﷺ found the Jews of Khaybar fasting that day, and he asked why. It's because Musa was delivered. So this is another allusion to new horizons, because they were enslaved, and then their tyrant was removed, and they've got new expansion, new opportunities. But along with that comes tests as well. Don't think suddenly new horizons, woo, happy all the time. Oh no. That's when there's new horizons, woo. As I said, sometimes you come back home from a Hajj or come back from an experience and you think, it's all going to be cushy now because Allah's forgiven me. That's not how Allah forgives you. He gives you tests to drive you forward. And then what other narrations? There's narrations that the most authoritative ones are that this was the day that Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam found land. Again, new horizons. Do you see it? The world's been enveloped with water. That's the destruction of the old and a birth of the new. Yeah, and then the other one, obviously, is where what's another occasion that we remember on this day was the martyrdom of Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu. Why? Because this was a rebirth. What was his rebirth? It was a martyrdom. It was he found the world around him constricted. He couldn't bear living in tyranny and oppression. And so he stood up, and Allah gave him expansion. What was that? Martyrdom. And this is what is it for us? What is martyrdom? Look at Imam Hussein's situation. He couldn't stand what was going around him, even though the people around him were advising, don't do it. Okay, but he couldn't. He felt this purpose, and regardless of the signs around him, he felt, I've got to make a stance here. And this is a sign for all of us. Is that and I give this analogy. Say there's something happens in the family. Someone does something wrong and everyone's like, shh, God, don't say anything, just keep it hush hush, and you say, no, I can't, I've got to stand up. This is a martyrdom, because you're killing yourself to what your family expect from you or what the people around you perceive you to be, and you're making a stance and coming into a new way of realization. That's how we can reflect on what do we take from Imam Hussein's life. It's about having the courage to stand up, regardless of even if your whole identity is ruined because of it. You make a stance in life, and you know that the people around you, sometimes they will be the ones that hold you back, even the dearest to you. And you've got to, if you know something is true and something's going to be a rebirth for you, a martyrdom for you, you've got to make that stance, because otherwise you're going to have a life of just feeling like I'm not achieving my purpose. And people that have that calling towards their purpose and they don't carry it on, that's when all sorts of things happen to them. Things that people they don't feel right in themselves. They don't feel grounded. They feel like as if they're being pulled one way and tugged the other. And so when we feel that calling, we've got to follow that calling, and it's going to be scary. But what do we ask for? As along that path, we ask for Sultan Nasir. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidqin wa akhrijni mukhraja sidqin waj'alni min ladunka sultanan nasira. That's the lesson from this, and that we're going into something new in this year. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant that for us.